Hey, welcome back to Chris's Comments, a show of common sense on common ground, no matter what the subject. Now, this might be a little bit more on the conspiracy theory side, so I guess we could call this Chris's Conspiracies, but it's not without good reason. Okay, check it. A lot of my messages I've stated when it comes to political leaders, it's all about the money. Belief is the tool. Okay. It's all about the money. Belief is the tool. One of the things that everybody's got right now is in an uproar is the abortion ban right now. This Judge Alito and his draft opinion is out wanting to abolish abortion, and everybody's in an uproar. And the people that follow this Alito believe it's for the better, that it's moral and all this good stuff. Now, my personal opinion is that if it was really about morality, they would have left it. They would have put the power of abortion usages back to the church, because the church was the ones that denounced it back in 1917. Excuse me, just over 100 years ago. Okay, just over 100 years ago, the church was responsible for abortions, and it was the best way to go because they were usually done the most cleanest, professionalist done. Can I say professionalist? I don't know, but it was done by the church. It wasn't until 1917 that they threw that responsibility out the window, and now to this day, 100 years later, they're trying to incorporate it as law on a civilian legal side. Under civilian law, which is just downright wrong. As far as I'm concerned, as far as Chris's comments goes, they lost their right to do that once they threw that responsibility out the window themselves. Okay, once they did that, they have no business telling people what to do legally, especially an abortion. When it comes to abortion. And that's coming from me, a Tejano brought up through the Catholic faith, okay? It's just common sense. You don't say, I want nothing to do with it, and then say you shouldn't have the right to do so. No, not when you threw out the responsibility, okay? When the church threw out the responsibility themselves, they lost the right to say what anybody out here has the right to do with their bodies. Plain and simple, because abortion was a religious conducted responsibility. Again, all the way up until 1917. Okay, this was religious for 2,000 years. Well, for 1,917 years, this was a church responsibility. They went by the way better than science rule of thumb that the child isn't an actual life until the mother, the host, can actually feel the life in her womb. If she couldn't, it was a clear sign that that infant, that fetus, wasn't actually a legitimate life. And in the old days, it would be a precursor to being susceptible to being absorbed by a creature of evil, okay, or possessed by a creature of evil. You know, a woman could accidentally give birth to a demon child if she didn't feel the life in her womb. Okay, now that was all superstition. But that being said, when from no science to today's science, when that rule of thumb still applies, you know, you really sort of screwed the pooch when you're in a religious shot calling position, and you just declare it not worth the responsibility anymore. You know, you kind of screwed the pooch there. When you're trying to make it into a constitutional thing now, okay? The church is always being spat on and neglected and all this stuff now with good reason, okay? Now, with good reason. Dude, you threw out the responsibility. You threw it out. My church, my faith, your faith, our Christian faith threw that right out the window. And now all of a sudden they're stepping up on the soapbox or at the pedestal preaching morality, morality defamation and injustice and all this crap. No. Sit back down and go do the church picnic event or something, So why the uproar? Why the uproar now? Why the decision to do this now through this Judge Alito in his draft opinion, who says abortion should not be permitted? Well, the tax-paying dollars comes to mind. When you've got community hospitals and non-privatized hospitals, those are funded through our tax-paying dollars. And so the only thing that I see now are just stingy, greedy douchebags who don't want anything to do with this, or don't want our hospitals to have anything to do with abortion. Not because of morality, but just because they just don't want to pay taxes. They don't want to see our taxes going to that, which is just a stupid, to this day, a very dumb thing to do, especially when stopping the life of a fetus that is a danger to itself, a danger to the host, if not the complications of that pregnancy leads to a danger of both the fetus and the host. It saves lives getting rid of that fetus that hasn't been born yet. Okay? It saves the host lives. We can count on one hand, maybe even two, of people who have testified in our lives. If you look into it, really, you can count on one hand of people that have had to abort their first child because the body wouldn't have survived, or the baby wouldn't have survived, if not both, but wound up bouncing back the second pregnancy and then giving birth to healthy children right after that. Okay? And in a dumbed down sort of way, it's stating that the body hasn't been broken in yet to be, no matter how ready it was to give birth. It hasn't been broken in yet in order to give birth. And that's the sole reason why Christianity was so strong with upholding that responsibility, to make sure that we were still a strong population with the good, strong, healthy babies. And one of the primary rules wasn't scientific. No, it was a rule of thumb in which the mother could literally claim whether she could or could not feel the life of that fetus in her womb. Okay? It was called the quickening. Okay? And it was real. There was no need for science when you went through that. And it's a trip, by the way, to see people in the creationist world or religious world who claim that science is wrong about everything concerning God, use this science to demonize and throw out the rules of religious creationism or just plain religionism. Sorry. To use that to manipulate today. Honestly, it has nothing to do with the church. It doesn't. It's just people that don't want to pay taxes. It's another tax cut that people want to avoid, which is also kind of dumb given the fact that, well, just because it's not to be paid for doesn't mean that we're keeping our cash. Doesn't mean that we're keeping our taxes. We're still paying the same rate. We just might as well as keep this program that actually keeps our women healthy and permits them to produce healthy children, babies, that can actually grow in this world. Okay? And we're a dying population. But that's involving 14% of plastic in our bodies that we absorb. So we're slowly getting killed off of our own living ways. So, okay, but that aside, getting back to what does this have to do with Greg Gestapo Abbott? Well, the Alito draft opinion has set an implication to other rights. Okay, aside from the abortion issue. Here in Texas, okay, Greg Gestapo Abbott, my governor, my Texas state governor, has started to push for a law that bans schooling to migrant and undocumented children at our public schools. Okay? We've got this ban going on children before they're even born, to here in Texas, to certain children who are already born, to ban them the right to having an education. Okay? Now, that rule, this law that he pushed for, lost. Okay? It got removed. It got rejected. But here's the crazy thing. It got rejected by a voting decision of a 5-4 decision. Okay? By one vote. It got ruled out. Okay? This is pretty alarming. And I'd also like to remind everybody that not all migrants speak Spanish. The Ukraine-Russian war is proof of this. We've got a lot of migrants coming over that speak a bunch of other languages, and not all of them are going to be speaking Spanish. So for everybody that thinks, well, all those Mexicans, shouldn't, too bad for all those Mexicans, they got an entire country. Again, not all migrants are Spanish speaking. Not all of them are even Mexican, for crying out loud. Not all of them are even from the US, from the Americas. Okay? A lot of them are from other parts of the world. And they cross the Texas border no differently than the Mexicans. So, now Abbott's Demazery reasons for this decision is because of Biden's removal of the Title 42. Now, in my opinion, someone needs to see how much money Abbott was banking on this title that while it was in effect, because it's already been noted that it was the most worthless title, the worthless rule, because of the simple fact that it was supposed to medically examine migrants and asylum seekers that came crossing the border to check them for COVID, as well as any other kind of diseases and illnesses. Something that the border agencies were already doing, all the way to the Department of Health. Okay, they'd already checked them. There was no need for Trump's Title 42. There was no need for Gestapo Greg to enforce Title 22. But he did anyway. So where's the angle? Where's the angle in that? I'm not really sure where just yet. I just know that it costs money to do these examinations. And this Title 42 was extra money spent on something that the existing agencies were already doing. Customs, medical people, DPS, Department of Health. Okay? These departments were already doing this. And so everybody under Title 42 was re-examining what everybody else already did. Okay? This speaks volumes. I'm guessing the IRS maybe, or some investigation team should do is go through Abbott's pocketbook and see where all of this money is coming from, his expenses and everything, because he's buying top dollar. He's paying top dollar for stuff that he more than likely shouldn't be. And, well, where's the money coming from? I don't know. But here's something that I can guess based off of this current dilemma, this current issue, this whole bizwax with him pushing a law to ban schooling to migrants and undocumented children. Okay. Undocumented migrants in Texas qualify for a small number of benefits, including emergency medical services, not necessarily Medicare, but emergency medical services, more than likely the stuff to keep them hydrated and level out the sugar levels after crossing through what is now 100-degree weather here in May, a border crossing, okay? But yeah, they qualify for a small number of benefits, including emergency medical services, food aid for the children, and public education. Now, this is according to American Gateways. It's an agency under the president or the representative Edna Yang, who's given us this information. Okay, she's letting us know what exactly they're getting, which is medical services, emergency medical services, not necessarily a dental care, not necessarily a health plan and dental, food aid and public education, which is, not really a lot. How much is not a lot? Well, let's find that out. Let's look at the costs of all this. Now, last recorded in 2016, because really everybody's been fudgy with the facts and nobody's really been disclosing any information, more than likely because hardly anybody's been actually doing any investigation. Okay? Hardly anybody's been doing an investigation. But as far as anybody can tell, as far back as 2016, okay, it costs about $7 billion per year for this state program for students. Okay? The state program for students costs about $7 billion a year as far back as 2016. That's about $6,100 per year for each student. Okay? $2,000 more per year, which if needed for bilingual and special ed services. Okay, $2,000. That's it. Okay, per year, per student. So, per student. So, $7 billion annually. Okay, from as far back as 2016. That's a lot of money for Abbott and his administration that can bank off of simply by refusing this state's program. Simply by refusing to pay this state's program, which is, again, $6,100, $6,100 for the entire year per student. Okay? $2,000 plus $2,000 more if bilingual and special education services, special ed services are needed. Just 2 G's more. Okay? It doesn't look like a lot, and it's not a lot. But because it's not just pertaining to one school, it's pertaining to all schools in Texas. Okay? Some places like KKK towns like Vidor that wouldn't even have migrants, but are possibly collecting. Okay? We're talking about a total of $7 billion a year from as far back as 2016. That's a lot of money for a governor, the lieutenant governor, the treasury, some other kind of service, 5-6 other services. $7 billion can be spread quite around for an entire state administration. In this particular case, the Lone Star State administration. $7 billion a year. More than enough to go around. Hence the reason why I keep asking, show me the money. How much money is this guy banking off of? Okay? Now, he didn't win the $7 billion. Because again, the decision lost by a count of 5-4. By one vote. Okay? By one vote. $7 billion of our taxpaying dollars, of our taxpaying money, could have gone straight to his pocket and his friends and his floozy on the side, if he even has one. I shudder to think that there is one. $7 billion going to him and his friends. And more than likely, it's not you. You're not one of his friends. Despite the fact that $7 billion, that's more than enough to go around. You know? It's not enough to go around for his friends, and maybe even you. You know? Just for the halibut. $7 billion he almost grabbed. By way of claiming schools should not be provided for undocumented migrants unless Biden brings back Title 42. Another bill that was taking a lot of our taxpaying dollars that was deemed worthless because all the other agencies were already doing what Title 42 was assigned for. It is a complete worthless bill, and Greg wants it back. And if not, okay, well then we have to take the $7 billion a year project away to teach Biden a lesson. Right. To teach Biden the lesson. So, I do apologize for bringing it all the way out to Monday, May 9th. Because I already got this news as far back as Friday, I think. Friday or Saturday. I can't really remember when, but it's just that I've been quite busy working out here. I really wanted to get this out there as fast as I could, but I had no choice but to keep working. And now that I've got some time on the lunch hour, I wound up getting a chance to come out to you today to state this. And I hope everybody out there is doing okay and doing well. And I hope y'all are, you don't really have to take my word for it. There's an article on it. I already forgot the title. It was Greg Abbott removal of schooling for migrants, something like that. There's quite a few articles on it, but they all pretty much say that same thing of what I'm telling you, except for what I am presuming that he missed out on a shot to take $7 billion of our tax-paying dollars annually by removal of this program. That's actually a big help. Technically, educating these migrant kids while their parents are here working, even if they're just working crap jobs, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's still a benefit for us, for everybody in the state as well as across the nation. It's a good program. It gets the kids, their education and ready for work by the time they graduate, and start making a name for themselves, as well as more than likely, if they're traditionalist Latinos, they're providing for their migrant parents who would be having the toughest time living in today's standards, but nevertheless working, keeping a roof over the head for their kids, while their kids, stay there till, 25, 30 years of age. That's not uncommon amongst us Latinos, amongst us Mexicans in particular. I always thought it was just a Tejano thing, but no, migrants of all over the world are doing this. I mean, they're not leaving house until 26, 27, and that's if everything goes the right way, goes as planned. That they've made a savings and a credit score and all this good stuff to leave and start their own lives. But yeah, it's a bonus for everybody in the long run, and it helps benefit. Before this pandemic crisis, where billions of dollars was having to be spent on this and that and this, We had a lot of free spending. There was a lot of public fights. There was a lot of road rage recordings. There was a lot of people griping about gays. People griping about, TV and reality TV. I mean, real minute stuff, And that was before the pandemic. Before that, I remember was the 2012 thing. We all thought the world was going to end in 2012. There was a scare and all that good stuff. And before that was I think it was Barack Obama in the presidency. Everybody thought the world was going to end. And before that was the war. About 20 years, when 10, 20 years of it, 9/11, all the way back, as far back as 9/11, 2001, and everything Al Qaeda and Sharia law and all these things that were going to kill us and all this good stuff. But we had a lot of free spending, There was a lot of room for people to buy commercial. All the digital stuff and the video games. I remember PlayStation was the bomb, and Nintendo was around there, and then but after that, came a lot of the internet stuff like Netflix and all this, and it was deemed to be the corrosive whatever the hell. But everybody was enjoying it, including myself. We all had lives. There was a lot of UFC fights, boxing fights. There was jousting that was promoted on television, so everybody had to go to Renaissance fairs. There was a lot of money being spent, and a lot of people being happy, being miserable, and as well as just being positive and all that. And man, there's nothing going on out here and stuff. Well, now we've got this dilemma, and we've got all these political leaders trying to pull these schemes while we're trying to make sense of this dilemma. Trying to survive this pandemic and everything, and now a war in over there, which is affecting us on an economical level, despite the fact that we're not over there fighting anymore. We're not on the other side of the world fighting, but it is affecting us on an economical level. People, the rug got pulled from under our feet. Okay, we have to stand together, and we have to tough this crap out, and we have to have no tolerance for all the money grabbing schemes, everything from businesses hiking up the prices to everything, to our own political leaders trying to remove this bill, trying to remove that program. Because of and why? Because of the money grabbing scheme of banking and taking all that cash that's supposed to go to those programs that we are just not going to see. It's not going to come back to us. We're not going to be paid back for this, okay? We're not going to be paid back for this, despite the fact that the tax program is technically a loan program. But we're not getting paid back this. And I think you know this. We can all see this. We're not going to get paid back. So, what do? Well, for right now, just keep on spreading the word. Keep on talking about the BS that's going on, and how non-BS we are to take this. Okay? Keep pointing out all of the crap that's going on with the rhetoric and all of those that are following. There's a reason why you're not following those of the rhetoric. If you're on this channel especially, it's because everybody out there is saying the same old rhetoric crap. You hear one commenter, you've heard the rest of them throughout the day, and it doesn't matter what age, from a young college kid all the way up to from a young high schooler actually, all the way up to the old senior citizen. Okay? And it doesn't matter the gender either. You'll hear it out of both sexes. It doesn't matter. There's a reason why you're not following the rhetoric. It's because it's already going to be stated all the way across the aisle, down the list, down each category, from one end of the spectrum to the other. And that's not good enough. The reason why you're not following it is because it's not good enough. Because it's telling you to wake up and see through the bullshit. Don't be a sheep. But at the same time, if you're not repeating everything that they are, well, you're not a sheep. If you are repeating everything they are, technically you are part of the flock. Which is alarming because everybody is calling the Democrats perverts and sex offenders and traffickers. In the meantime, all these Republicans, Roy Moore, all the way up to Trump, to Lieutenant Patrick, the Dan Patrick, all these other people, and that one from Florida that literally paid airplane tickets to have 17, 16, 15-year-olds fly to him and meet him in a hotel, out of state. So it kind of makes you wonder, all of this, name calling, Democrats are sheep, Democrats are pervert. Well, anybody that's opposition to us are sheep. Anybody that's not saying what we're saying are perverts. Well, this, if we're not saying what you're saying, we're not sheep. So does this mean we're not the perverts too? I think so. There's a reason why you're not following the rhetoric, and it's because it's just a bunch of babbling BS. And that's the thing that we got to keep on exploiting, regardless of whatever we're told by the opposition. Okay? Greg Abbott struck out on grabbing a $7 billion a year profit by removal of this thing. Now, if you remember one of my last ones, Greg Abbott's bus schemes, where he's taking migrants that have already been vetted. They've been asylums facilities since the day that Trump closed the border and had all them caged and all the minors caged, all the children locked up and everything. They've sat there for the past 2 years. Okay? Some of them have been sitting there since as far back as when Trump was in office. Which means they've permitted their time. They put their time into it. Greg Abbott played like he was busing them to DC to teach Biden a lesson. Technically, they were scheduled there. One news report, it's so far that I could tell it's still just that one, the New York Times, took note of the fact that Abbott was also busing them across the southern states where the farming communities were, where more than likely they were nabbed originally back when Trump was in office, pulling them off of the crops and fields and deporting their butts. Okay, I'm not saying that that's true, but it's a good, it's a good bet. It's a good bet. We basically got, this. Then that there is a scheme, okay, and it's going up to $3 billion by the end of this year. As far as I could tell, it might be more. Somebody said more, but I forgot who, and I didn't research it. So far, the physical evidence shows $3 billion by the end of this year. Okay, $3 billion that he's been charging the government, Biden's free spending bill, when he could be putting it to our infrastructure. Instead, he's busing migrants to DC where they're scheduled to be, and throughout southern farming communities and the southern states, southeastern states. Georgia, Alabama, and South Carolina, I think it was. South or North, I can't remember. But it was one of the Carolinas. And, that there is a scheme that's already been into effect. He's been banking big off of that. Okay, busing migrants. Busing vetted migrants that have already been sitting here in Texas for over 2 years now. Okay, they went through the process. They got processed. And now they're being sent over there. And so this bill that he struck out on would have done a lot of financial damage, no differently than the inspection, where he was costing us $24 million per hour during the trucking stations blockade. Okay, he was hurting the state. He was hurting our nation financially. This thing with Russia was hurting us financially, you know, but we're not putting up with Russia's BS just because it's hitting us hard at the gas stations. And we shouldn't be putting up with Governor Greg Abbott's BS, or whatever state you're in, governor's BS, you know, because of the gas prices. We shouldn't be allowing, you shouldn't be allowing your governor to get away with crap like the way we didn't allow our governor to get away with this $7 billion a year swindle. Okay? Now, obviously, the governor that your state is in, that's running your state, is winning something out of some kind of proclamation or policy, and you got to check to see what they're removing and what they're implicating and what they're claiming that they're going to be promoting or putting into law, and what it is that they're actually not putting into law that's supposedly to your state's benefit. You know, all of this time, Greg Abbott here in Texas, Greg Abbott has been proclaiming safety and security. He's been proclaiming the wall, something that he hasn't touched ever, you know, not since Trump's 10-foot extension that collapsed less than a year later. Okay, that wall is still hit on the ground, and it's 2022 now. It's been up since the Trump era. So this, you know, and that's just in my state. You guys, you got to see what's going on in your state, okay? And if you're here in Texas, guys, take a look at what's going on. Take a look at what's going on. You can listen to the rhetoric, but I guarantee you the reason why you're not really paying attention to it now, why you're not going to pay attention to it then, is why you're not going to pay attention to it now, is because it's, once you hear one dude say it, everybody's already said it, and it's got nothing to do with the crap that's going on that we can actually see right now. This hustle that our governor is doing instead of doing the responsible thing. This gouge pricing that all of these companies are doing instead of doing the responsible thing. This minimum wage hike or more that every single company and business is supposed to be doing. You know, this whole denial as opposed to doing the responsible thing. So you see, this is what's going on right now, and you guys see it, I see it, we all see it, and those that don't, those that are in opposition to what we're all looking at are rhetoric speaking, and rhetoric speaking refuse to see anything. They just want to go with whatever the rhetoric is. They're the fools that follow, so to say. Not to be all Obi-Wan Kenobi on you, but yeah, you know, you got the fool and the fools that are following. And I seriously doubt it, but I'm sure there's some benefit to this, you know, whether it be because they're actually business owners who are not wanting to pay the minimum wage hike and are not paying their fair share of taxes and keeping the money, or people of hate groups like the KKK and any other organization, America's Founders Foundation, Proud Boys and stuff, people of hate who are making decent livings so much enough that they've got the time to storm a building fully armed or strike in front of a Capitol building loaded to the teeth, claiming highway robbery. The government is trying to steal from us. How in the name of God are you proving that? How in the name of God are you proving that coming off of your own private land with $1,000 of guns, ammunition, bulletproof vests, specialized lenses of your glasses and your camo wear? You're wearing $1,000 or more, and you're up there saying the government's stealing. What? Come on, man. How in the name of God are we supposed to be following you guys while you're doing this and claiming that? It's just downright idiotic. And that's another reason why this nobody rideshare driver like myself is coming up, speaking up also. You know, I don't need to tell you any of this. I'm sure you would have followed along and found out about it yourself anyway. I don't think I need to, I'm not claiming anything. I'm not waving a banner, but I am speaking my mind. And my mind sees exactly what you're seeing, especially if you're not seeing the rhetoric and the local rhetoric or tomorrow's rhetoric or tomorrow, whatever proclamation, accusation leading to a demonization of somebody that you don't like, of somebody that the opposition doesn't like. Okay, and that's it. You see it, I see it, we all see it, So that's the deal for today. That's the latest Abbott's my Texas governor's scheme of trying to swindle our state, even if it affects the nation, and in the future, and our nation's future, our economic future, our state's future, global future, for crying out loud. We are talking about people that are involved with, with the trading industry no differently than the people that do domestic stuff here. So that's the long and the short of it. That's just me speaking my mind again, letting you know what I see and how I have to speak my mind, and hopefully it's a little bit of knowledge dropped on you guys. Remember, it's called, the article is involving Greg Abbott refusal or banning, bringing a law to ban schooling for migrants or undocumented migrants. You throw in those keywords and all the articles are going to be popping up. And you can see for yourself. The money's thrown in these articles, the people affected, the non-people affected, the people that Biden is proclaiming to, the people that Abbott is proclaiming to stop, which it actually affects a whole lot more than just those people. You can see the articles for yourself. You can see what's going on. So have fun, enjoy, read, and check it out for yourself. And you'll see exactly what I'm seeing, and that's how I'm going to be closing the show. Stay safe out there. Be careful. We could get another wave of pandemic. Stay safe. I'm still wearing my mask. Home is where you park it. I love this one. Home is where you park it mask. And I hope everybody does good out there. We'll see you next time. This is Chris with Chris's Comments, signing out.